Welcome back to All Shops, Great and Small. A couple weeks ago, I didn't misquote, but I want to verify that Mr. Honda, when he passed away at age 84, this message was sent to all dealers, and he said that his philosophy of combining vision with a challenging spirit to make it a reality. Today we're going to go visit a guy who built a hangar, which is a shop. Believe me, when you keep an airplane in a building, it ends up being a shop. Once again, we want to talk about the vision and the motivation to start it and finish it. And we're going to be taking a short trip. It's only about a mile from here. And we're going to visit a guy who's very motivated, and he's definitely a shop guy. We're going to take the back road over so we don't have to get on the main road at all, which involves driving through the woods. Inspiration for a hangar, since this building was a hangar, and in 1993 it collapsed and it cut the Piper J3 Cub in half. And the guy we're going to visit, we'll call him Cal, his brother redid the plane and ended up it was beautiful when he was done. But the way that this provided inspiration for the hangar that we're going to go see is that our friend Cal didn't want his hangar to fall down. This runway was built in 1968 by my father, and then it was redone about 10 years ago by Cal and my father, and they worked on it for a couple years on weekends, moving 50,000 yards of rock and dirt to make the runway much more level than it was. But it's a full-time job for Cal to mow grass and all. But now onward to the hangar. Okay, so you've realized, Cal, once you hit about 50 years old that you can't do it all. You've been working on the hangar for almost 10 years, and you had...
So yeah, I hired Amos Lapp to come up and build this addition, and they're doing a real nice job. They're getting the soffit finished on there. It's coming along. I gotta get the doors on it yet, but we're putting all our equipment in here that doesn't need to be heated in cold storage.
And right there, we have the D8, the big D8, which was involved with building the runway. And the D8 was also the machine used on the Alcan Highway. I just watched a show on it, and it's an animal.
Oh yeah. Once you push dirt with the D8, you don't want anything smaller.
And this is how one man tries to get all his stuff under control. And boy, what a beautiful place to work in the dead of winter now that there's heat. And certainly when you have one airplane, you always have something to do. So when you have two airplanes, then it almost becomes full time. What makes the building more impressive is that Cal built it by himself. He just had an addition put on the other side by LA Construction, Amos Lapp, which was the only work that was done here that wasn't done by Cal personally. And this is not a show about motorcycles, but a lot of times when people are pilots, they also like motorcycles. This Super Cub is very similar to the one that got cut in half in 1993 blizzard. The project started off with a vision.
Cal saw these steel trusses down in Williamsport, and they had just been removed from a building that was demolished, and they were rusty, but he perceived it as a deal, so he bought the trusses, and that was how it all started. We were in a train station in Germany when he saw the roof, and that's what motivated him to do the same thing here. He planed all of the boards, all of the wood was planed by him, and the same with the siding on the building. Just hundreds and hundreds of hours machining wood that he bought rough cut here. Yes, and if it's a room and it's got airplanes in and motorcycles, it ends up being a shop. What's been going on here for the last year or so. This is going to be the Pilot's Lounge. Some of the work that can't be seen is the engineering that Cal did to understand this heat-in floor system, and the workmanship is as good as it could be done. He's not a professional when it comes to any of this HVAC stuff, but he sure learned it. And this is all propane powered, and it's a beautiful job, and it's going to keep the hangar here at a nice, comfortable 55 degrees.
The last thing we're going to talk about today, Cal, is that I notice you don't have any windows at all on the hangar. And museums don't like to have windows, and the reason why is because this is what UV does to plastic. Imagine what it does to fabric, the material on the wings. These were bought at the same time. This one was left in a garden shed that had the sunlight shining right in. Not only do you get the sun shining in, but when it's going through glass, it can intensify it, and it make it even worse than the sun if it were sitting outside. But that's the reason why we don't put windows in that type of thing. Yeah. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for taking the time, and I certainly want to thank you for all the work that you've put into making a building that'll be here 100 years from now.
I hope so.
Thank you.
See you.
When you see a project like that hangar come together, you realize that how simple it is to build something like that. All you do is spend about 10 years. Every day when you come home from work, you work on it. Every weekend, you work on it. And that way, you'll end up with a really nice hangar, all you kids out there. In the words of John Browning, when he was asked about his genius, his reply was, "An ounce of genius in a barrel of sweat." From all shops, great and small, make sure you check us out on YouTube at channel Robert Logue, or All Shops, Great and Small.